universal basic income, UBI.
Sometimes in AI they talk about universal basic income. I think it's actually going to be universal high income, where anyone can have any goods or services that they want.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, if AI can make everything much more efficient and get rid of people for most jobs, it's not obvious what to do about it.
Universal basic income? Give everybody money?
Yeah, I think that's a good start.
Welcome to AI Survival Guide. Every Friday, in just 8 minutes, you get one headline, one chart, and one takeaway. No hype, no doom. I'm Scripter, AI expert, economist, and former Forbes columnist. And our goal here is to keep your career AI relevant. AI is spreading like a forest fire. We're watching it replace jobs, professions, even entire industries. And yet, most people remain calm because they believe in UBI, Universal Basic Income. They expect that at some point, governments will step in and guarantee minimum income to everyone. It's like a modern welfare system, but for all. Today, in this video, I will show why there will be no UBI and why relying on it would be exactly the wrong thing to do. Here's how much the United States government collects from the individual income taxes. And here are payroll taxes. And here are the corporate income tax and other minor revenues. What this chart shows is that 85% of the money collected by the government, one way or another, comes from taxing individual people. The same people who are supposed to be the recipient of UBI. Imagine a condominium, a big building with, say, 100 apartments. And here is a building manager. He takes out the garbage, he fixes pipe leaks, and he makes sure that elevators are running smoothly. So this is our manager. All that costs money, which is why every year the manager collects a fee from the apartment owners. And here's the question. Where do owners get the money to pay? Well, from their jobs. So that's how the system has worked for the last couple centuries. And of course, in our little analogy, the manager is the government. So the flow of money goes from work to individuals to government. And that's how the system works today. That's the money flow. Again, the overwhelming majority of what the American government collects comes from individuals. And now imagine that something strange happens. A few companies appear and they say, hey, we have this thing that is called AI. And it can do almost any job. It can do accounting, it can drive cabs, it can teach students, it can treat patients. And it does that 100 times cheaper, 1,000 times faster. It is doing that 24/7. It doesn't need lunch breaks, no unions, no strikes. Perfect. Overnight, the money flow from work to individuals, pretty much dries up. And this is where people turn to the manager and say, hey, where is our UBI? But at that exact moment, the government's own income is collapsing too. So it is not just human workers who lose income. Governments lose their income as well. And here we get to the most important question. Can governments get the money from somewhere else? Let's take a look. If you think this video is valuable, please give it a like. Our first candidate for the source of money for government is pretty much obvious. Corporates. The same corporates that actually build AI. And this is a common expectation among the UBI supporters, that governments will simply take a slice of the profit of these AI companies and then redistribute it among humans. But here is the question. How exactly will governments force the AI companies to pay? And this is not a trivial question, because large firms have become exceptionally good at resisting taxes. They have layers upon layers of tax lawyers and lobbyists whose only objective is to optimize taxes, which often means minimize or even avoid. For example, look at how much government revenue used to come from corporates just about 70 years ago. Back then, in the 1950s, that was almost as much as individual income taxes. Governments knew how to tax corporations, how to extract money from companies, but not anymore. Since then, companies have only grown stronger. And now AI makes them even more powerful, more influential. So what exactly makes us believe that these AI companies will suddenly agree to higher taxes? And at that exact moment when their bargaining power is the highest. Another way for government to get the money is to borrow, which is basically just another form of taxing, this time taxing future generations. However, there is a little problem here. As you probably know, the current governments, and especially the American one, they've already borrowed so much that it's actually unclear if lenders will keep lending, especially if the government revenue coming from taxing individual incomes is drying up because of AI. In other words, it is highly unlikely that UBI could be funded by borrowing. Another way the government could get the money to fund UBI is by printing money. Well, technically, this is just another form of taxing people. This time, not the future or present generations, but the previous generation. And this is because each additional dollar, or whatever currency you have in mind, actually makes the previously issued dollars less valuable. And who holds the previously issued dollars? Yeah, people with savings and retirement plans. Previous generations. They are the most vulnerable to inflation. But printing money has a nasty side effect. Remember, we have seen how much the government's already borrowed. They're sitting on piles of debt. And that debt, even if it is issued by the government, it still has to be serviced. It's almost like a mortgage. You have to pay interest on it. And as more money is issued and inflation goes up, interest rates go up too. It's kind of reasonable because nobody really wants to lend money at a rate that is below inflation. It's almost like you lend money at 5% knowing that everything will be 10% more expensive, which does not really make sense. Well, actually, a couple of years ago, I had a video just about that right here. So 25% of the government revenue goes to pay interest. Doesn't sound like too much, right? But let's not forget that this is 25% of the revenue that is actually being terminated, replaced, shrinked by AI. So that can actually go to 30, 50, 90, even 100%. It is even possible that the entire government revenue will not be enough to pay interest. So it is quite hard to say how this debt situation will evolve and how this entire game will eventually play out. But there is one thing that is certain for us here today, and that is that UBI cannot be funded by printed money. Here's what we've seen so far. So no taxing corporations, no borrowing, no printing money. So what is actually left? Tariffs. Tariffs is the last significant lever, last tool in the government toolbox, last hope to fund UBI. And this is what the Trump administration has pursued since day one. But guess what? The idea of paying UBI with tariffs also has a small problem. Because who's actually paying tariffs eventually at the end? Yeah, that's consumers. Consumers are paying tariffs. The same consumers who will need UBI. The circle closes. And here's a quick side note. And this is not because I doubt the economic genius of the President Trump and his economic advisors, no. But the problem with tariffs is that they are, almost like by definition, they're small. For example, currently, even after President Trump raised the tariffs, they roughly bring approximately $300 billion annualized. So convert that into UBI, and you will have a minimum survival payment at current minimum wage, roughly $7 per hour, for just 19 million people. And that's roughly 10% of the whole working population, just 10%. And all that together, no individual income tax, no corporate income tax, no printing, no borrowing, no tariffs, all that together sends us one simple message. There will be no UBI. So what does it mean for us, for individual people? Well, first, the obvious one is that there's going to be no UBI. When AI hits the fan, governments simply won't be able to help us. The second lesson is do not spend, save. This is time not for spending. This is time to build a protective buffer. And finally, if your buffer is not yet big enough to watch the AI storm from a safe distance, find a job, move to a job with an AI future. And as usual, at the end, here are two videos that I think you may find valuable. The first one is about inflation. It is incredible how often we don't really think much about this counterintuitive phenomenon, which, however, affects lives of pretty much every one of us. So I think you will like this video. And the second video is about 5 AI jobs that have an AI future. I worked very hard on finding those jobs, so I think you will find it valuable too. See you on the other side.